we can't really help organize during emergencies or staff radios because most of us are going to be out helping on emergencies or fires. So that might have to fall to our local groups. And we can help organize and steer the groups in the right direction, and that's part of what today's program is about. We're planning on installing a GMRS base station here, and hopefully we can get some volunteers that aren't volunteers with the fire department to come in and help staff that during emergencies. We have kind of a vision of what we'd like to see happen in the community, and it would be that each neighborhood form a small group, and they have a radius of no more than 1 to 2 miles so they can talk to each other. Each group would then kind of elect a chairman, and that chairman would pick the channel, and one day a month where everybody turns on the radio, maybe the first day of the month, and at 6 p.m. everybody logs in and tests their radio, something like that. And it's up to each group to how you form it and how you do it. But during emergencies, this is when you can really help us, is that we had so many calls for lines down on this ice storm and so many calls for people falling and slipping. I think, what do we have, 40 calls in 24 hours or something like that?
Yeah, during some of the snowstorms and the ice storms and events that are obviously a catastrophic event around here, we generally get to a point where dispatch is told to start logging the calls, and if they're not a specific emergency, for instance, lines down, let us know when we can, we'll check in with you type thing. One of the things that where this would be a great situation is during the snowstorm and during the ice storm. We had 2 specific medical calls, and in areas where they're steep or such like that. People want to go check on their neighbors. Craig referred to it. So if you're in a situation where you may become part of the problem, this is where a radio can help as well, right? I can radio my neighborhood here on Madrone, and all the way from one end to the other without having to send somebody down or walk in the ice or something like that, and just make that connection. And likewise, if there's obviously an event and somebody's monitoring that, we can do that as well. So.
Yeah, and our vision is during emergencies, when we have those ice storms or something, these groups would get together and they'd call in twice a day, maybe 8 in the morning and 6 at night, and just check on their neighbors. And somebody in that group would have a chainsaw and be able to help out a neighbor, or food or warm water or whatever they need. So that's going to help us by not calling 911 and utilizing the resource of your neighbors out there. The group leaders, we would hope in each neighborhood would somehow find a connection back to the fire department using a ham radio, or there's many other ways to do it. Or like in Bart's case, his neighborhood, he has a VHF radio that comes back to the fire department. But you can, the groups don't have to all have GMRS radios. They can have FRS radios, and you can check in on those frequencies too. Those are very cheap. You can buy them at Walmart or Fred Meyer's or Amazon for, like Craig says, less than $50. So, and hopefully these groups can take care of a lot of their own problems within your own neighborhood. You're just neighbors helping neighbors to help out with each other. So, I want to thank Craig for coming up here. I was in charge of the VHF radio system for the fire departments for years in town. And when I moved to Eugene, I took over that too. But Craig has always been my go-to guy. He's the most knowledgeable radio technician anywhere in this area. So if you have any questions, he has a shop there on 42nd Main, or 42nd and 126, yeah, Marcola Road, as you're heading out 42nd towards Marcola Road. But he's always available for questions and to talk to, and he's a great resource. So, Walter, would you like to come up and talk about your program?